Do you want to learn the secret that can make a woman forget her own rules, drop her pride, and chase you without thinking twice? I'm not talking about cheap tricks, flattery, or luck. This is a strategy so powerful that even the most independent and controlled women feel an unstoppable pull toward you. Machiavelli studied the way desire works, how people are drawn to certain types of power, and how attraction can become obsession. Today, I'm revealing that exact principle. If you've ever felt ignored, overlooked, or wondered why she didn't commit, pay close attention. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to make her bend her own boundaries, follow her instincts toward you, and crave your presence. This isn't about charm. It isn't about luck. This is calculated strategy, and it can change the way she sees, feels, and pursues you. The invisible pull of desire. Picture this. There is a woman who appears completely untouchable. She has her own rules, boundaries, and standards. She doesn't bend for anyone. She walks with confidence, independence, and firm control over her emotions. Most men look at her and assume she's unreachable, someone who can't be influenced or swayed in any direction. But then something subtle, almost invisible, begins to shift. One man enters her life, and without her even realizing it, her behavior starts to change. She begins bending her personal rules, doing things she once believed she never would, and her emotions slowly start following him, even when her logic tries to resist. She doesn't fully understand what's happening. Her instincts, desires, and even her sense of self begin drifting quietly in a new direction. Most men never catch this hidden pattern. They assume women are unpredictable, or that attraction depends on luck, timing, or random chemistry. But desire follows a structure. It has a psychology behind it, a pattern that shapes how humans are drawn toward one another. That pattern has existed for centuries, studied by the greatest minds in human behavior. Machiavelli, for example, recognized the true nature of influence. He understood that people are not guided only by reason. They respond to curiosity, challenge, and desire. And once you grasp this, you gain the power to create a magnetic pull that will direct her focus and emotions toward you, even a woman who seems completely out of reach. This principle is not about gifts, wealth, or charm. It's not about flattery or constant communication. It is a subtle psychological force working quietly beneath the surface. It doesn't pressure her or corner her. Instead, it forms a silent attraction that draws her in without her noticing how or why. Even the strongest, most self-controlled woman can find herself crossing her own boundaries, altering her habits, or questioning her beliefs when this principle is used correctly. Think of attraction as a system, not a gamble. There are hidden cues and behaviors that guide her desire. When you know how to use them, you no longer wait and hope she likes you. You gently lead her attention toward you. You become a man she admires, respects, and cannot ignore. She begins testing herself around you, pushing past her old limits, and naturally moving closer without you asking. This is the invisible pull of desire, subtle, quiet, and incredibly powerful. And when you master it, you don't just create attraction, you create a magnetic force that reshapes how she thinks and feels about you. This is what separates ordinary men who are forgotten easily from the ones who can make a woman break her own rules without games, manipulation, or pressure, simply by understanding the psychology that controls human desire. The magnetic pull of mystery. Here's a truth most men never understand. Women are naturally drawn to mystery and challenge. The problem is that most men become too accessible. They text all the time, say yes instantly, and remove any sense of curiosity. When that happens, her interest doesn't grow. It fades. She stops feeling challenged. Attraction weakens, and soon she begins taking you for granted. Even if she was interested at first, your constant availability makes you ordinary. But here is what most men never realize. When you stay calm, confident, and slightly out of reach, everything changes. And this does not mean acting cold, rude, or distant. It is not a game. It is about creating space where she cannot assume she has full access to you. When she notices that your time and attention carry value, her mind begins noticing the gaps. She starts asking herself questions. Why doesn't he chase me like everyone else? Why isn't he always available? Those questions create magnetic tension, a pull that draws her toward you without effort. This is not manipulation, it's psychology. A woman naturally values a man who is independent, grounded, and complete within himself. When she sees that your world doesn't revolve around her, she starts seeing you as rare, as someone important, as someone powerful. You stop being just another option. You become a challenge, a puzzle she wants to understand. And as she tries to figure you out, something fascinating happens. She begins bending her own rules. Habits she once swore she would never change start shifting, all because of your presence. Being slightly unreachable is not arrogance. It is self-respect. It is living a full, interesting life while letting her observe your value on her own. When you master this, the effect is immediate. She will think about you even when she shouldn't. She'll wonder why she feels so drawn. And slowly, without realizing it, she will begin breaking her own rules just to connect with you. That is the power of mystery. A quiet psychological force that makes you unforgettable, magnetic, and nearly irresistible. How desire breaks boundaries. Human desire doesn't follow rules, logic, or perfect plans. It moves through instinct, emotion, and tension. Machiavelli understood this long before modern psychology, and it explains why even disciplined women sometimes behave in ways they never expected. A woman who values herself, sets firm boundaries, and believes she has total control will naturally resist anyone trying to influence her. She may have clear habits, strict rules, or limits she swears she will never break. To most men, this looks like a wall you can't pass through. But desire doesn't obey walls. It thrives on challenge, rarity, and the presence of something valuable that feels just slightly out of reach. When she sees a man who is confident, self-reliant, and fully in control of his life, something subtle begins inside her. Her boundaries start to soften without her noticing. At first, she tells herself she won't chase, she won't act impulsively, she won't break her rules. She might even feel proud of her discipline. But beneath the surface, her instincts are responding. Her mind begins testing limits, imagining possibilities she once dismissed, and reconsidering actions she previously rejected. Habits she once clung to start to shift. Thoughts she resisted begin to appear. And each time she sees your calm confidence, your steadiness, your control, her instincts pull her closer. This is the art Machiavelli described, igniting desire without pressure or force, guiding someone past their own limits simply through presence, value, and psychological influence. That she won't bend her rules. She might even feel proud of her discipline, thinking she can resist any temptation. But inside, her instincts are quietly reacting. Her mind starts testing limits, exploring possibilities she once ignored, and considering actions she previously rejected. Habits she once clung to begin to change. Thoughts she resisted now creep into her mind. And every time she sees calm confidence, steadiness, and self-control, her natural instincts push her closer to you. This is the hidden art that Machiavelli spoke about. The ability to ignite attraction without pressure to make someone act against their own self-imposed limits simply through your presence and value. She doesn't feel forced, it feels like her choice. But in reality, it's her own emotions, curiosity, and instincts guiding her toward you. Every small step she takes, every rule she bends, every habit she adjusts strengthens her attachment. Her pride, self-control, and personal rules slowly begin to lose power over her actions. Eventually, she reaches a point where she steps closer, admits feelings she held back, or takes actions she swore she wouldn't. And it isn't because you demanded it, it's because the force of your presence and the subtle influence you created were irresistible. Her own rules no longer have the power to stop her. She acts not out of obligation, but desire. Pulled naturally toward you, drawn by attention she can't fully understand, but can't resist. This is how influence works at its most powerful. Quiet, subtle, and impossible to ignore. The power of quiet influence. One of the most overlooked ways to make a woman drawn to you is through quiet influence, using silence strategically. And I don't mean ignoring her rudely or playing games, I mean creating space that allows her mind to notice your value, wonder about you, and start thinking about you in ways she never has before. When a man constantly chases, constantly messages, or constantly reacts to every little thing she does, he removes the mystery. Without mystery, desire fades. But when you step back, slow down, and stop seeking her approval, something remarkable happens. Her mind starts to fill in the blanks. She begins replaying memories, thinking about moments you shared, and imagining scenarios where you might be thinking of her. She asks herself questions like, "Why is he so calm? Why didn't he respond right away? What is he doing?" That small pause, that gap you create, lights a fire of curiosity in her mind. Curiosity is one of the most powerful forces of desire. Once triggered, it grows quietly but steadily. She starts craving your attention, your presence, your approval, but she doesn't know how to get it. This is the magic of quiet influence. It gently pulls her closer without forcing anything. The less you chase, the more she notices you, and the more her behavior begins to change. She might reach out first. She might spend time with you even when it requires effort. She might test her own limits, doing things she never imagined she would, all because she wants to reconnect. Silence also builds tension and anticipation. It makes you unpredictable in a way that fascinates her. And unpredictability, combined with confidence and value, becomes irresistible. She doesn't feel pressured. She feels drawn naturally, almost without realizing it. She wants to understand you, to capture your attention, and even to push her own boundaries to get closer to you. Step by step, she begins bending her own rules, testing herself and breaking habits she once thought were unshakable, all without you asking. This is why quiet influence is so powerful. It works on the deepest layers of desire. She will think about you when you're not around. She will feel compelled to take action, to engage, and to come closer to you. Not because you forced her, but because her mind and instincts are quietly, irresistibly drawn to you. When used correctly, this strategy doesn't just attract her, it makes her act against her own rules, creating a pull that is subtle, psychological, and unstoppable. The power of rarity. One of the most overlooked secrets in attraction is the power of rarity, making your presence and attention feel valuable because it isn't always available. Most men make the mistake of being too available, too predictable, or too eager. But humans, especially women, are naturally drawn to what is rare, hard to reach, or just beyond grasp. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He knew that desire grows strongest when something cannot be fully obtained. When it's too easy, it loses meaning. But when it feels slightly out of reach, the mind starts to focus, to obsess, and to crave. This is why when a woman senses that your attention isn't guaranteed, she begins to invest emotionally without even realizing it. The key is strategic absence. This doesn't mean ignoring her or being rude. It means creating space so she can notice you, miss you, and start thinking about your presence in her life. When you avoid over-communicating, when you don't respond instantly every time, she starts to feel your absence. Slowly, her mind begins working in ways she doesn't even notice. She may start testing herself, silently, competing with her own habits and bending rules she had once firmly set. Your rare attention suddenly becomes something she values far more than before, and she instinctively begins moving closer without pressure or manipulation. Step by step, this creates a magnetic pull. She prioritizes your time, your energy, and the moments she shares with you, often more than she does with her own routines or plans. Her boundaries, habits, and rules that once felt rigid begin to loosen. She may even surprise herself by doing things she had promised she would never do. And the most powerful part, she feels like every move she makes is her choice. She believes she is deciding to bend her own rules. But in truth, the scarcity you've created is subtly guiding her actions. This strategy is both subtle and extremely powerful. By making your presence rare and valuable, you trigger desire, obsession, and a sense of challenge. She doesn't chase because she is forced. She chases because she wants to, because your value has been quietly proven through scarcity. Each small step she takes draws her closer to you, and each boundary she breaks strengthens the magnetic connection. This is how a woman begins bending her own rules and moving toward you. All without you asking, all without pushing, simply because she has realized that your presence is rare, priceless, and worth pursuing. The silent power of self-assurance. One of the most dangerous and attractive qualities a man can have isn't money, looks, or clever words. It's self-assurance. And I'm not talking about arrogance, showing off, or trying to impress anyone. I'm talking about calm, steady confidence, the kind that comes from knowing your own worth, being comfortable in your own skin, and refusing to bend or change for anyone's approval. This type of confidence has a magnetic effect. It draws people in naturally, without effort, without charm, without persuasion. And when a woman senses this kind of energy in you, something extraordinary begins to happen. She starts testing herself, pushing against boundaries she normally would never cross. Why does this happen? Humans are instinctively drawn to those who carry themselves like they control their own lives. People, and especially women, feel intrigued and challenged by someone who is self-contained, independent, and untouchable. They can't ignore it. They feel compelled to see if they can reach you, impress you, or earn your attention. This curiosity creates tension, and tension breeds desire. As she observes your calm, unshakable presence, her own mental rules begin to shift. Actions she once avoided now feel possible. Habits she held onto become flexible. She might even take steps she never thought she would, testing herself against the invisible barrier of your composed power. Confidence combined with consistency becomes a silent force, a weapon you don't need to brandish. You don't chase her. You don't plead or manipulate. You simply exist in your power, and her instincts begin to respond. She starts to move closer to you naturally. Each small step she takes feels like her own choice, but in reality, it is your presence guiding her decisions. She notices how steady you are, how calm you remain, and how unshakable your self-control is. And because of this, she is quietly compelled to engage with you in ways she never imagined. This is why confidence is more powerful than any line, gift, or gesture. It's the ultimate measure of value. A woman who respects herself and maintains strong boundaries will naturally resist a man. But when she senses that you don't need her validation, that your self-worth is unshakable, her resistance begins to crumble. She will step closer to you, break her own rules, and even surprise herself with how much she wants to be near you. Confidence doesn't push. It pulls subtly, irresistibly, and strategically, turning her desire into action without her ever realizing she's being influenced. The power of focused attention. Once you've mastered confidence and created emotional scarcity, the next step is focused attention. And this is where the real magic happens. Most men fail here completely. They either ignore her entirely, making her feel unimportant, or they smother her with constant texts, compliments, and validation. Both extremes kill attraction. The secret lies in giving attention in a strategic, calculated way. It's about making her feel noticed, appreciated, and curious while maintaining your own power and self-respect. Think of attention like a magnet. Too much, and it loses value. Too little, and it disappears. But the right amount given at the right moments creates a pull that is impossible to resist. The key is to acknowledge her actions selectively. When she reaches out, shares something personal, or makes even a small effort to connect with you, respond in a way that shows you notice her without overdoing it. A thoughtful message, a quiet recognition, or a small compliment is enough. Over time, her mind learns a pattern. Your attention isn't automatic. It's earned, rare, and meaningful. This kind of subtle reinforcement does something remarkable. Step by step, it draws her closer, causing her to bend the rules she once strictly followed. She begins to test herself, explore new behaviors, and take risks she never imagined. Each time she receives even a small piece of your attention, her desire grows stronger. She begins thinking about you constantly, analyzing her own feelings, and wondering what she could do to gain more. Without realizing it, her curiosity and obsession start guiding her actions toward you. Focused attention also builds psychological tension. By giving just enough to keep her interested, but never fully satisfied, you create a craving that grows naturally. She thinks about you when you're not around, recalls the subtle moments when you acknowledged her, and feels a pull she cannot explain. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, she begins to cross boundaries she once respected. Habits she clung to, limits she imposed on herself, and standards she believed were untouchable begin to shift. She's drawn in, not because she's forced, but because she now values the connection you offer. This is the true power of influence. You don't manipulate her or pressure her to act against herself. Instead, you guide her desire and curiosity, allowing her to take steps toward you while feeling it's her choice. And the longer this pattern continues, the stronger the effect becomes. She will start chasing you, breaking rules she never thought she would, and becoming more invested. All because you mastered the art of focused, strategic attention. The turning point of desire. Now, imagine this. After you've mastered mystery, emotional scarcity, calm confidence, silence, and subtle attention, something remarkable starts to happen. She begins acting in ways she never imagined possible. Maybe she's the one reaching out first, sending a message, or finding reasons to be around you. Maybe she compromises habits she once considered untouchable, bends rules. She promised herself she would never break, or even admits feelings she kept hidden from herself. At first, it might seem small, almost insignificant, but every move she makes is a clear sign that her desire is growing and her inner boundaries are shifting. This isn't random chance, and it isn't luck. This is strategic influence, the kind Machiavelli spoke of centuries ago. Desire is powerful, but it can be guided, shaped, and amplified when combined with the right mindset, presence, and subtle actions. The pull you've created is invisible, quiet, and yet impossible to ignore. She feels it, even if she can't explain why. It isn't just physical attraction. Curiosity, challenge, and respect have built a tension she can't resist. She feels drawn to you in a way that makes her want to engage, to connect, and to be near you. Even if it goes against the rules she once held sacred, the genius of this approach is that it feels natural to her. She believes every step she takes is her own choice. She doesn't feel pressured or manipulated. She feels like she's following her instincts, acting on her own desires. And that's what makes the effect so powerful. Once she believes she is choosing freely, her attachment deepens, her desire intensifies, and the limits she once relied on begin to fade. She stops resisting and begins moving toward you, testing her own boundaries, bending habits she once considered unbreakable. This is the turning point. The moment when casual attraction transforms into obsession, when curiosity becomes craving, and when her self-imposed rules no longer have the power to hold her back. She starts acting in ways she never thought she would, guided not by pressure, but by the invisible influence you've carefully created. And because she feels that it's her choice, she becomes more invested, more committed, and more drawn to you than ever before. This is the ultimate mastery of human desire, creating a magnetic pull so strong that she breaks her own rules, completely on her own, the irresistible force. Now it's time to put everything together and see the full picture. When you combine mystery, emotional scarcity, calm confidence, strategic silence, and subtle attention, you create something far more powerful than simple attraction. You create a force that doesn't just make a woman notice you. It makes her break her own rules for you, and she does it willingly, believing it's her choice. This is the difference between casual interest and true mastery over desire. It's not about manipulating her or forcing her to act. It's about understanding human nature, observing how desire works, and using it smartly to create an irresistible pull that feels natural and unstoppable. Women aren't drawn to men simply because they like them. They are drawn to challenge, intrigue, and the chance to test their own limits. When you combine the right traits and behaviors, she begins to move in ways she never imagined, bending her own boundaries, questioning her rules, and acting in ways that surprise even herself. She wants to reach you, understand you, and earn your attention. And the more she feels that these choices are her own, the more obsessed she becomes. Each pause, every moment of steady confidence, each subtle acknowledgement or reward for her effort, builds tension and desire that grows stronger over time. When you reach this level, you are no longer just another man she likes. You become a presence she can't resist, a puzzle that keeps her mind working, and a force that quietly shapes her actions. She will start acting differently, prioritizing you over old habits, taking steps that feel natural to her but are influenced by the pull you've created. Every rule she once followed, every boundary she once held begins to shift toward you almost without her realizing it. This is the true art of attraction. It's subtle, powerful, and strategic. She doesn't feel forced. She feels drawn, intrigued, and alive in your presence. Your influence doesn't come from words or gifts. It comes from the magnetism of your value and presence. The way you make her mind and heart chase you on their own. When you apply this correctly, she will not just chase you. She will think about you constantly, prioritize your attention, and bend her own life around your presence. This is not luck, charm, or manipulation. It is strategy, deep psychology, and understanding human desire. When you master it, women will break their own rules, test themselves, and become irresistibly drawn to you. You become a man she cannot ignore, a force she must navigate, and a presence that changes how she thinks, acts, and feels. This is the highest level of mastery, becoming the kind of irresistible force she simply cannot turn away from, the presence she will always chase. If you've ever seen a woman break her own rules for someone, or if it has happened to you personally, share your experience in the comments below. I want to know what she did, how it unfolded, and how it felt when she crossed the boundaries she once swore she would never break. And if you're truly ready to understand and apply this principle at a deeper level, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. In the videos ahead, I'll be revealing even more powerful insights from Machiavelli and the hidden psychology that naturally makes a woman pursue you. Don't just watch, absorb it, use it, and watch how your influence transforms real life.